Hiding property data. Let's have a look. Good morning, everyone. I'm Florian.Heise, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from the ABC discussing the RBA's calls to hide property data, influencing private companies to craft the market they want. Part of their whole suggestion, the thought bubble of considering getting real estate to stop transactions, stopping the entire real estate industry to avoid a crash here in Australia. If you haven't watched my video about there, I got a little bit animated, a little bit annoyed that these emails were even going around. I've got access to the Freedom of Information request, and I'll go through that in other videos, because there's a lot there. A lot of internal emails back and forth. One thing it makes me appreciate that I'm not working in a big corporate office anymore. Whenever you see all that, if we just think about it, going completely off topic like I always do, just how much time is wasted in needless back and forth email chains sometimes, and banter and office politics. Yeah, there are some advantages to working from home, everyone. So let's have a look at this. The Reserve Bank economists considered asking private firms to hide data about slumping property prices. Just dwell on that for a moment while I bring up my website. Just dwell on that for a moment, everyone, that they considered asking them to hide data. This is the organization that makes all the economic decisions that are so accurate with their wage forecasts. They've getting it wrong year after year after year, wanting to influence the market. But then again, we shouldn't really be surprised. That's their whole caper. Their whole shtick is influencing the market, controlling the economy, influencing us little plebs. For the greater good, apparently. But then, how many people, how's the quality of life of the average Australian going? I wouldn't say it's going too well at the moment, isn't it? No, not really. If you jump to my website, to the HeiseSays blog, you will see here, there's an article, Fake Auction Clearance Rates Exposed. Just looking at the bias for positive results in the methodology they use to assess the data mined to prove that they're just not updating it correctly with the information they have. Every property has a unique identifying feature that allows, if it's entered into a database several times, to be identified and then correlated and then matched. That's the address. That's the address. So if a property is passed in an auction but the data isn't reported, they just ignore it and say it's the same as everyone else. It's trend. They don't go, oh, look at that. Its same agent has got it for sale a day later. Let's investigate that and update that clearance rate that we're advertising. No. And they also, here's the question. The Reserve Bank asked or suggested or had internal correspondence that was highly sensitive, suggesting that this market should be hidden. And then all of a sudden, the hedonic index is no longer updated daily. Now, am I just seeing patterns and conspiracies where they don't exist? Or is there evidence that, they consider making these suggestions, but we can't trust it? What do you think, everyone? Let me know in the comments. Is it tinfoil hat time? Or regardless, should the fact that these things are being disclosed, should all their communication and correspondence be made public? An economist at the Reserve Bank of Australia considered asking private firms to stop telling Australians about slumping property prices when the early period of pandemic panic stoked fears of a housing market crash. Well, a lot of people have been predicting that housing is overvalued, and we'll have to see. I suspect they're going to throw everything they can at housing to keep it up. I think they're going to throw every single thing they can in housing. Maybe housing will stay the same. Your $500,000, your $1 million house, your $2 million house, it'll all stay the same. But that loaf of bread will start costing $15. I went to the toy shop yesterday. Or not the toy shop. I went to, Kmart or Big W, one of these places. And I was shocked at how expensive toys were. And then I saw on Facebook, there was some toy sale, and all these women were loading up trolleys. Women who, you could tell by their attire and their BMI, they didn't look very healthy or wealthy. And They were spending thousands of dollars on toys, like plastic doodads and rubbish. Mina finished term. We finished school this term, and she did well. She worked hard. She illustrated and made a book, a pixel art book, and once we get it published on Apple, I'll let you all know about it for your kids to have a look at. And so, with our education, with homeschooling, how we do it, kind of distance-ed homeschooling, Mina gets financial rewards for doing work, because we consider that her job, and she has to get paid for it. So she's been saving up all for the last 2 terms. And she wanted to buy some gold, because she's a girl, and she preferred the gold to silver. So I took her to a stacker, to a trader, and we put the gold she could get, which wasn't very much, and all the silver she could get, which looked a lot more impressive. But of course, she picked the gold. So we needed to get a new money tin for her, and that's where we went on this journey to Kmart, and just seeing all the stuff there. So what do you think is better to teach a 7-year-old about saving and investing, or buying knickknacks and toys? I tell you, I wish my parents had encouraged me to put my pocket money away. But nonetheless, back to this article, because once again I've gone off topic. So here we I really have gone off topic. Oh, that's a happy story. In a release of highly classified documents from inside the Australian Central Bank, economists discussed the need to treat the housing market as dysfunctional and potentially shut down data sources letting investors know. Lindsay David, the founder of LF Economics, said it was shocking the central bank would contemplate asking private sector data collectors to stop informing the public. Is it shocking, though? Is it shocking? Are they a benevolent organisation, or is the RBA acting in their own interests? You've got employees there that probably, I'm certain they'd be able to find work out in the private sector. Well, they are the private sector in a horrific way. What about that new fiscal authority that wants that many organisations are asking for? That'd be great, wouldn't it? You could just organise without elections, without any involvement, just how government spend its money. Fantastic. I personally think it's absolutely disgraceful conduct by the RBA that they have appeared to resort to giving what appears to be manipulation of the information members of the public do and do not have access to in relation to housing prices and debt. Well, I mean, Lindsay, mate, this is their caper. They are manipulating the economy. That's what they do. They think they know better. They are not allowing the market to act. That's their whole approach, the whole Keynesian approach. They're complete interventionists. They want to centrally plan the economy rather than organising the number of boots that the factories produce. They organise the rates and use more sophisticated means. But in the end, we're still in a manipulated economy. We still have a cash rate that's artificially low to influence people. So stopping perceptions of a crash. In April, economist Nick Garvin wrote to colleagues warning them the bank should stop analysing the housing market as if it were operating normally and called for a halt, as happens to stock trading in emergencies. I think it's dangerous for regulators to be reporting on housing prices as though the market is currently functioning, he wrote. I'd suggest we classify the market as paused and treat the prices observed before the pause as the current prices, like how equity markets operate, but on a larger scale. So we're going to get, 7%, 10%, 14% halts on the market. So the housing market will open again tomorrow, and then boom, and hit the window. The housing crash team has to step in because real estate agents could not operate normally at the time. Auctions and viewings were banned or highly restricted. The economist argued, so paused would be a fairer classification. He went on. We should also tell private sector data providers to follow this rule. If people start mistakenly thinking that we're experiencing a housing market crash, it's not going to help things. CoreLogic denies RBA demanded data removal. The key private sector provider of information about real estate in Australia is global giant CoreLogic, formerly RP Data. Its daily index stopped being published on May 20, but CoreLogic head of research Tim Lawless denied it was because the RBA demanded it. We received no correspondence from any of our clients asking for our market-facing indicators to be removed from publication, he said in a statement. The decision to remove the daily index series from publication on the CoreLogic website was a cautionary move made due to concerns about the potential for volatility in the daily series at a time when sales activity had fallen by around 1/3 in a month. Well, shouldn't they just have methods to account for that? Shouldn't the sales activity be part of their formula to count the value of property? Because if there's very little liquidity in it, it's going to be a lot harder to shift the property. So will it still have the value that everyone thinks it has? No, it won't. This was a prudent decision at a time when sales observation had fallen sharply. Mr. Lauder said the company had continued to publish an end-of-month index. Oh, how nice of them. Production of the daily data has been continuing, unseen by the public, and will be republished from today. So that's yesterday. So they're republishing the data. Everyone will have to have a look at that on the hedonic index. Hedonism, I'd just say. Property analysts are gobsmacked. The RBA would consider reducing the transparency of information in a key investment market, particularly in an emergency period. Well, maybe this is a red pill for a few people into central banking. What do you think? What do you think? Because, we're just dumb plebs. They know better. They know better. Just be quiet and buy those houses. Borrow that money, everyone. Borrow that money. Quite frankly, as a property market information supplier, I'm alarmed by intended communications for private data providers to follow, SQM Research Managing Director Lewis Christopher said. Was this prompting the real reason why CoreLogic suspended their daily index from public viewing shortly after? This raises serious questions on the independence of market data providers have with the RBA. The RBA declined to respond to further questions. So it could just be internal correspondence at the RBA and just a happy coincidence that they both reached the same conclusion. That is very likely. Because you've got people here that have got a complete vested interest in ensuring there isn't a panic and a crash in property. What do you think? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Regardless, it is waking more people up to the attitude of the Reserve Bank. To the attitude of the Reserve Bank. And just how, well, if you don't have liquidity, is your property really valued the same as it is? If it's not as easy to transact. The fact that what's more shocking is they were suggesting a halt to trading, which isn't really mentioned in this. That's what really got me fired up, to actually completely halt the market. I was shocked. Not so much anymore. Well, let me know your thoughts and opinions, everyone, in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel, comment, interact. It helps spread the content, helps the channel grow, and beats the challenges that are faced with the YouTube algorithm. You can support us financially via joining the channel on YouTube or Patreon, or using our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay, or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays. You can see pocket squares, I get it wrong every time, behind me that Rachel has made. You can support us using Gold Pass from the Perth Mint or PayPal. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next video.